created to make an impact in the city that you live in right now. Every single one of you. How many of you were at your poll this morning? Let me see your hand. I applaud you for that. Now listen. Listen to me very quietly. Listen to me. I need your attention here. Because I applaud you for being at your poll this morning. Now listen. But if you want to be a history maker, if you want to impact your school, if you want to do something that they will always remember, they will remember the move of God that came through you, I ain't got to tell you something tonight. We have got to go one step further than just being at the poll. That was awesome. I commend you for it. I'm not putting it down in any fashion, any form, any way. But there's somebody at your school who needs to know that you can go just one step further than being at the poll. There's somebody at your school who needs to know that you are ready to rock this world for Jesus after the poll. Woo! Tonight I've come to simply ask you, what are you going to do after the poll? How are you going to engage your school? How are you going to go in there and release the anointing of God in your school? The poll was great, but everybody at your school saying what's going to happen after the poll. Everybody at your school is wondering, what is that man or that woman of God going to do after they leave the flagpole? How are they going to impact my life? How are they going to engage me? Let me tell you 3 things tonight that you need to do in order to have an impact after the poll. The first thing that you will need is you will need a cause. Everybody say cause. You will need a cause after the poll. If you are going to have an impact in your city, in your community, or in your school. I want you to go with me very quickly to the book of 1 Samuel. If you have a Bible, go there. If you don't, listen very closely. 1 Samuel chapter 17. We will start reading at verse 3. It's the story of a young man by the name of David. David is about to face a giant by the name of Goliath. And in verse 3 of 1 Samuel, it begins to describe, chapter 17, it begins to describe what Goliath looks like. It says, a champion named Goliath, who was from Gath, came out from the Philistines' camp. He was over 9 feet tall. He had a bronze helmet on his head, and he wore a coat of scale of armor, bronze, weighing 5,000 shekels. On his legs, he wore bronze greaves and a bronze javelin with a sling on his back. Over in verse 16, it says this, for 40 days and for 40 nights, that this giant would stand before the people of God, and he would defy their God. While all of Israel was trembling, here's what David had to say in verse 29, same chapter. David simply says this, now what have I done, said David. Is there not a cause? Is there not a cause? David said, here's this giant. He's standing before the people of God. He's saying that there is no God in Israel. There are giants in our society today. They're standing and they're looking at you as children of God, and they're saying there is no God in your school. And it is up to you to say, is there not a cause? Is there not a cause? Is there not a cause? You see, suicide rates in our society right now are going through the roof. Is there not a cause? There are over 24 million fatherless young people under the age of 18. That means they go to your schools. Is there not a cause? This year alone, kids in your school under the age of 18, there will be 1 million divorces this year. Those students who are going through those divorces and who are confused and wondering, am I the reason that mom and dad broke up? Guess what? They go to your school. They sit next to you. Is there not a cause? Self-mutilation is going through the roof. Students who are cutting themselves and inflicting pain on the outside because the pain on the inside is so great and they don't know any other way to deal with it. Is there not a cause? You've got a reason to stand up and fight, young people. you got a reason to say, God, I thank you for giving me the courage and the boldness to stand at the pole. But now, God, I'm asking you to give me the courage and the boldness to do something after the pole. God, show me how to engage my school. Show me how to go after this thing. The pole was great, but now I'm ready to go. Now I'm ready to go. I remember when I was 8 years old, my mom invited the Incredible Hulk to my birthday party. It was awesome. Incredible Hulk was my favorite superhero. We're having a good time. All of a sudden, Incredible Hulk breaks in through the front door of our house. True story. He comes in, he's like, "Oh!" Everybody's terrified. People are running down the hallway, and they're running towards my bathroom as if refuge is in the bathroom. Security is in the bathroom. People were jumping in the tub. One girl jumped in the toilet and tried to shut the lid on herself. True story. I'm running down the hall myself, and all of a sudden, it hits me. I begin to think to myself, I said, you know, my whole life, all I ever wanted to be was a superhero. And it hit me. My superhero voice came on. I said, I must do something to save these people. You know your superhero voice. It's that voice you don't let anybody hear, but you do it in front of the mirror by yourself, right? I get to the bathroom, the Incredible Hulk is following close behind me, and realizing that I lack superpowers, I once again said I must do something to save these people. The Incredible Hulk, I get to the bathroom, the Incredible Hulk tries to open the door, I'm holding the door, he's pushing it open, I'm holding it, he's pushing it open, I'm holding it. And all of a sudden I thought to myself, I said, I'm going to slam his hand in the door. He was putting me and my friends' lives in jeopardy. I had a cause. So I slammed his hand in the door. He said, ah! I said, He pulls his hand out of the door, and there he was on his knees by the time I opened it again. His hand was wrapped in the towel. His hand was bleeding. And there I was, little Brian Pruitt, standing in the door. My cape was blowing in the wind. I had just defeated the Incredible Hulk. My friends who were behind me, who were in the tub, pulled back the shower curtain and they said, is it okay to come out now? My friend who was in the toilet lifted up the lid and said, is it okay to come out now? Now listen, you know what your friends at school are asking? They're saying, is there somebody who's going to come and save the day? Is there somebody who's going to come and rescue us? They're asking what my friends asked that day when they said, is it okay to come out now? They're saying, has somebody faced the Goliaths of our day? Is it okay for us to come out now? Is it okay? Is there not a cause? The second thing you will need if you're going to make an impact not only at the pole but after the pole is you're going to have to move from having a cause to having a calling. Paul in the book of Acts, he fought against God his whole life. And all of a sudden, Jesus meets him on the road. And Jesus changes his life. He receives a calling to go to the Gentiles. These were supposedly the people who do not know God. I love this story because it reminds me of the call of God on the people of God's life in secular society. God said, Paul, I want you to go to those who do not know you. It wasn't just about what happened to Paul at Damascus Road. It was about what happened to Paul after he left it. It was what happened afterwards. Would he obey what God told him to do when he left that place? And the answer is yes. See, the calling is simply about this. The calling is simply about knowing that God has given you responsibility for the city you live in. God has given you responsibility for the school you go to. This is not the mentality. The mentality is not this. Oh, God, Bobby has more talent and ability than I do. Let Bobby reach my school